These people may have killed our friends, but they can't do anything.
Hello, I'm Patrick McNee. I've been in some crazy movies in my time, from The Avengers to The Howling. But this is the craziest of all, Waxwork. Dracula, Frankenstein, The Phantom of the Opera, Werewolf, The Mummy, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and not to mention the Marquis de Sade. For the first time, all in the same movie, together. It's called Waxwork. We're working on it at the moment, but I'll guarantee you, with that cast of characters, it'll scare you out of your wits. Oh, by the way, it's really very funny. Take a look.
It looks a little spooky, boys. Do you think we should do this?
Never fear, Tony is here. Ladies first.
Oh, what a gentleman. I think I'll play feminist tonight.
James, I want to go home.
What? It was your idea to come in the first place.
Yeah, but this is not my idea of fun.
Come on, James, let's just take a look.
No. Just doesn't feel right, guys.
Women. Hey, honey, wait up!
Anyone else not coming?
We're right behind you.
Somehow I knew you'd say that.
You know it. Oh, shit. It's the old door opening by itself scene.
Welcome to the Waxwork.
Wrong picture, Tony.
Lock it up!
Listen, outside, we can be real and quiet, no one coming in or out. Action!
How can you resist a title of a film called Waxwork? But I was invited to participate by Anthony Hickox, the director, who I'd not met before. And I went to the offices that they had at Columbia Pictures to meet people, and I wasn't sure whether I really wanted... I love the genre, but I wasn't really sure whether I wanted to do another one. I've been in a couple. And I was explaining to the people with Anthony Hickox some of the stuff I'd just been doing in Great Britain, a mini-series of my own, which went out some time ago, and Anthony Hickox said, oh yes, I know that, I was an extra in it, which I found amazing, that somebody whose first movie he's written and directed in Hollywood should have been an extra in something in which I was starring in England. So that's how I really, that really in the end sort of made me want to do it, you know, to have the opportunity to work with somebody who I'd apologized when I met him for not remembering him in the scene, in which there were 500 extras. Everybody that I've sort of spoken to about it, because of course I'm not here every day, has told me how enthusiastic they all are and how they really are so pleased with the results of what they've been seeing every day on the dailies. And they all enjoy so much working with this new young director. And I think that's marvelous.
I see you're interested in my waxworks, yes?
Well... Yeah, in fact, we were just saying it's kind of a weird place to have one. I mean, on a street like this.
Really? Why?
The customers and
Yeah.
We gotta get back to class.
Yeah. Nice to meet you, Mr.
Mister?
It started back when I was a kid. In London, we have a thing called Madame Tussauds, which is big waxwork, unlike this one, which only has 18 displays. And it was always a little dream. What would it be like to spend a night in the waxworks? And that's kind of where the idea came from. And then Stefan and I met, and you were there?
I know, at Hugo's, go on.
No, we met at the Pastoria. We were sitting drunk one night at the Pastoria, which was a kind of regular thing when you're unemployed in Hollywood. And he said, I said, let me write a horror film. He'd never seen a horror film before in his life, and I said, well, let me write one and we'll put Deborah in it. And here we are. And that's how it happened.
Camera's coming through.
All right.
Tony sort of sold me the idea through his charm, and something so persuasive in his desire to do this project struck me, and we made a deal that he would write the script and I would pay him on delivery. So I thought that would give me a nice time. But the guy wrote the script in front of me in 3 days, and that was delivery. That's the script, and that's the film we made. And then it took us, I don't know, about 20 companies and 6 months until the deal was done and the film was set up. And it's been a wonderful experience, preparing several other pictures together, and we have a fantastic movie.
I think we're enjoying this. We've got 6 weeks to film something that anybody else would take like a year to film.
I think people are proud, too, to be working on this. It's just really good stuff. I mean, it truly is a fun experience. I look forward to coming to the set in the morning. I do want to leave at night. Cause
The wallet.
well,
You want to come
get the house?
The house, yeah, you can have the house.
You gave me a pool, too.
It's a
Boy, I'm getting a lot on this film. That's why. No, I mean, the people have been so kind. Everyone is so lighthearted. There's no tension. There's no stress. You come here, you do your work, and you go home. It's been wonderful. And we have an okay director, too.
What a beautifully innocent face. I can't wait to hear her scream with pain and orgasm. What a beautiful sight. No? First, I'm going to warm you up with the prince's riding crop. After which, I'm going to hand you to the prince and his consorts to use you like the whore you are. Then, my beauty, I shall beat you again until you die.
Well, it looks like your little plan failed.
Just a little precaution.
Zach Galligan is adorable. So professional and so kind to work with and so giving.
I spotted him in Gremlins. 100 million people spotted him in Gremlins. But I saw Gremlins when I wasn't like being a film director. And I always said if I ever made a film in the States, the one kid that I'd like to work with was Zach Galligan. Kid, he's my age. Anyway. Yeah. I'm working with him, and he is great. Should be a big star.
All I know is that there is something going on in that waxworks.
Oh, come on, kid. You can give me a better story than that.
All right. Excuse me.
Hey, where the hell do you think you're going?
Basically, my role in Waxwork is that of Mark Loftmore, is my character's name, and he's a very rich, sort of spoiled young man. And he's just out to have a good time in life, really. He's rich and he doesn't have any interest in school. He's more interested in his pretty girlfriend, China, who's played by Michelle Johnson. And like he says, he always wants what he can't have, so he's always trying to get her. And he stumbles upon this wax museum and goes in, and it becomes his chance to become a hero. So it's basically an adventure with some comedy thrown in and a lot of horrific aspects as well.
Mom, when are you gonna let me have some coffee for breakfast?
When you are a big boy. You know it's not good for you.
But Mom, I need the caffeine. Badly.
Well, I'll think about it.
Michelle Johnson plays my girlfriend who's basically playing a bitch. A woman who is the type of woman that you really fall in love with, but who doesn't treat you very well. And even though you don't really like her, you want her anyway.
We need to talk.
Yeah, about what?
About what? About us.
Us is over. You had your chance, you blew it.
Right.
I need it taken care of. Not, hey, how about a pizza after class, babe? I'm looking for something just a little more in a man. A little je ne sais quoi.
A little what?
See? You don't even speak French.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm not that good at languages, okay?
Yeah, well, why should I suffer for that?
Suffer? We're living in America.
Mark, you're very sweet, but you just don't get it.
So she plays it with a lot of allure, sex appeal.
I haven't had steak tartare in a long time.
Steak tartare? Oh, yes. Steak tartare. No sauce. But the sauce makes the dish.
If you recommend it, I'll try it.
It's a little salty. But that's all part of its charm.
Poor Michelle. She's a confirmed vegetarian.
Dana Ashbrook plays my best friend. He's a very, very funny young man. And he plays my best friend, Tony, who eventually gets, well, I probably shouldn't ruin it, but he undergoes some dire problems.
Oh, shit! Hey, boys, this ain't fun anymore. Get me the hell out of here! Hey, boy, good boy, stay. Stay!
I play the character of Tony, who is kind of the wacky guy of the group of 6 friends. And he's Zach's best friend, or Mark, the character of Mark. And he is kind of the, in the groove scenes, he's kind of the person that's constantly on everyone's, nerves and not nerves, he's a very funny, wacky guy. So he's great. He's a great character. I play opposite Zach Galligan and Debbie Foreman and Michelle Johnson and Claire Carey and Eric Brown. And they're great. That's the group of young kids in the film. They're really great to work with. I've never worked with a cast that's really this neat.
Jack, Bessie, you can sing. Lock it up! Settle down. Roll sound. Camera.
The film, or any film, feature film, was complicated beyond belief. And obviously this film is not any different than the others. We have over 2.5 million detailed items that must be cranked into not only our budget, we must also make that into a workable plan every day and make sure that everything is taken care of. When I originally read the script by Anthony Hickox, I wondered to myself how we could have as much comedy, humor, connected with complete terror. And it became of tremendous interest to me. And then I wondered, could a picture of this scope be budgeted within the realm of doability? We were very fortunate to have signed Bob Keane, who has done some of the biggest special effects job in the world, working on Aliens, Close Encounters. Johnny Quaranta, who has won an Academy Award for Room with a View, was hired as our set designer. There were a few problems connected with this, however. Gianni lives basically in Rome and Milano. Bob Keane operates a studio out of London. So getting these people not only together for our production meetings, but also our long-distance communications, which normally would break down, seemed to work flawlessly.
Marker. Bullet hit. Lights.
Ow, ow, ow. We have such a good working relationship. I whip her, she hits me. It's a beautiful thing.
Marker.
The most difficult aspect is we haven't got a lot of money and time. You know, it should have taken a year and like $20 million, but they gave me a little less in 6 weeks. It's a lot to do. I mean, we're talking time travel. We're talking going back to Egyptian time. We'll go back to France at the turn of some century or other. I mean, we go everywhere. We time travel. Lots of special effects. Bob Keane, by the way, is from England, and he did Hellraiser and many other things, and he's just amazing. And he's doing a lot of second unit effects, and he's just my hero.
A lot of the time, the film's problems are usually just one scene and one problem. This film is the whole film. We've got creatures in every single scene almost, and we have lots of them. The fact we had 18 creatures and they all had to represent creatures we know, like Frankenstein, the werewolf, the mummy, witches, without copying the sort of universal standard creatures. So that was the hardest problem, was coming up with new designs for all those standard creatures, which is a lot of fun to do. A lot of the stuff, a lot of the witch and people like that, are operated on the cable controls, which can take up to 6 people to operate them. You get some sort of playoffs on that because 6 people all playing together, all playing one part. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. This is another one of our beasties. The radio control. Here's the secret of it. Once worn by someone, you can have complete isolation there, so you don't have all those cables hanging out from behind. But you get some problems with that. You don't get as good a movement. It's only good for the small movements. We didn't have the luxury of knowing who was going inside each creature. So for us, it was much more make them as wide as possible range. And then as we built the creatures in England, when we came to America, we then audition the parts and find people who can fit into each of the things and people we can work with. It's very important that you can work with the people inside these costumes, because if someone is not happy in there, you're not going to get performance out of them. It's not something you can coach out of someone. You have to have people who are enthusiastic and want to be creatures.
How are we doing on Dr. Jekyll and the Golem Man victim? Are they getting into makeup and wardrobe? Because they're going to be first up, and then after that, the Phantom of the Opera is going to arrive, but he's going to need to go to Bob Keane's special effects makeup. And so when that happens, will you let me know what's going on?
The miniature work has really been confined to one area, and that's the building at the end, which we're going to burn. That's been a lot of fun, actually. We didn't expect that job. When we first came over, that wasn't on our list. But we've picked that up. And I think the way the miniature's going, it's going to work out very well indeed. We're ready on this? Okay.
If you want us to turn any flame up, higher or lower,
okay.
We'll start with 1, 2, 3 as far as
okay, I see
windows.
it. From right across. Right. A little down on that, a little down on... Lower on that one. Lower on 2. Okay, that's good. And up on the roof.
Up on the roof.
Okay, and roll camera.
That was great. Here we go. Bring up the bar. A little higher. Okay. Go down, Paul. Go down.
And then I can come down farther then. Then they say, what are we doing? Friends of your grandfathers, and introduce them. Then I can go farther, can't I? Now, these belong to him. Use them wisely and do it quietly. And then to all of them, let's make sure that these wise asses are dead before we burn them.
And the charge.
What you have to do it on an upright and rising inflection. Charge!
You're going to head that way, followed by your kind of Sarah's going to be pulled and Zach are going to be pushed out by the old men.
Right.
Some old men are going to go that way, some are going to go this way. We just want them all pouring out.
Yeah.
Joe, what's your...
He's right, you know. There is nowhere to run. If even one of these gets out, the world will be contaminated within a few days. Our only chance is to contain them here, before this whole rotting place is brought to the ground, and us with it if we have to.
We're all here and ready, sir.
Jenkins.
Good evening, sir.
Very good. Now, these belong to your grandfather. Use them wisely. Let's make sure that these white asses are dead before we burn them. Oh!
So as you can see, nobody's safe in this crazy movie. In the past, I've had both my arms eaten off by a monster, or I had my ear cut off by a mad barber. But in Waxwork, I actually lose my head right off my body. So you've been warned. You could lose your mind, or die laughing.
Live, my children. Live. Sarah, let's get out of here.
Run! Run! There's nowhere to run!
You're trying hard not to show it, baby.
Pumping this middle area
but
for something.
Baby, I know it. You lost that love and feeling. Whoa, that love and feeling. You lost that love and feeling. Now it's gone, gone, gone. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, oh, oh. You lost that love and feeling.